morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon. Hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. It's 10:30 in the morning here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we thank you for joining us. We do have our tea, so hopefully you can get your tea and some water and relax and sit back and listen to these panelists who are going to share their wisdom and enlightened knowledge as well. So thank you again for joining us for Chai and Just Chat session. This is our final session for this year for 2020. And the topic of this session is resetting 2020. And we have a lot to discuss, and I'm so excited because we have different versions and different perspectives of our panelists today. I'm going to do a brief introduction of all the panelists, and as you listen to them further, you're going to learn more and understand where their knowledge and perspectives are coming from. So, if I had to tell you, panelists, that as I start to read all your profiles today, I am seeing one theme in common, and I'm going to tell what that is, right? So we are also waiting for Dr. Harish Reddy. Hopefully, he's able to join. I know he's on call in London, so hopefully he'll join us in a few minutes. But what I see common among each of you is you're having a positive attitude, you are living in the moment, and you're practicing gratitude and, of course, mindfulness. So, this is what I exactly see as I read this sentence from Dr. Nandini's website. I said, oh my gosh, she's completely summarized what all the panelists are about today. So, we have Sharmila Devi Pondraj. She's joining all the way from South India, Tamil Nadu. She is the founder and director for Seven Clover Coaching Services. Sharmila, we have a lot to discuss about women and leadership today. And leadership is a topic that we've been discussing this whole month. So it's going to be more interesting because we're going to talk about neuro-linguistic programming from your aspect and some of the challenges that women have taking up these roles. Yeah. And so we do have, so thank you, Sharmila. I know we met last year in a probably the Young Indians presentation. So it's good to see you virtually today here. We have Iyabo Onipede, Jumbo, Iyabo. It's hello in Swahili, I guess. And then thank you for joining us. You are the co-director of Compassionate Atlanta. And it's wonderful to be working with you. I'm on the board for Compassionate Atlanta, so it's been so nice to see you lead a group of awakened or individuals who want to give back, but bringing compassion to the forefront. The unique thing about you is you practiced law for 20 years. And then you moved something attracted you to the interfaith effort or work. So you joined the Candler Theology School, and from there you are leading inclusion and diversity workshops for organizations. So thank you, Yabo. Your contribution today is going to be tremendous. We have Dr. Harish Kumar. Dr. Harish, thank you all joining us all the way from Gujarat. India. You are a urologic surgeon, and if I had to read all the affiliations you have, it's going to take me one whole day. So I'm just going to say, looks like you are one of the best practicing over there. And you are also you published many papers. You've also been a researcher. You've done your medical school in India, but you did your fellowship in Mount Sinai Hospital in New York and several other affiliations you have as well. So Dr. Harish, thank you for taking the time to join us today all the way from there to offer your insight and input. I'm also going to probably see if there's any technical difficulties, then we're going to make sure that we address it. And I might ask you to mute yourself if there's any additional background that you do here, right? So next we have Dr. Nandini Sankhi Reddy. Dr. Nandini, thank you for joining us. As I was reading your profile, looks like your passion has completely moved, of course, from practicing clinically, but also bringing lifestyle practice medicine into the treatment aspect as well. You moved, I believe, from Tennessee to Georgia. And then you are a board certified primary care physician. You are in the WellStar Health System, and you're continuing to offer your motto, which is food is medicine and medicine is food. So thank you, Dr. Nandini, for joining us today. Next, we have Nakia Grayson. Nakia, thank you for joining us. You are an IT security specialist working in federal government. And hold on, let me admit Dr. Harish Reddy. So, Nakia, you are the IT security specialist in the federal government, and Nakia, and how? So, Yabo, you're going to be amazed at how we met. So, when our current president-elect and Kamala Harris won their seat, or when it was announced, I wrote on my LinkedIn post, "Hey, I'm so excited that they're coming on board." And I said, look, this person who was stuttering as a boy, he had a stutter, and how much great that he's now becoming the president elect. So Nakia messaged me back. She said, "Oh my gosh, that message of yours brought tears in my eyes because I used to have speech impediment when I was young, and so we connected, and we both were in tears because we understood each other that sometimes people struggle through some things, and we get laughed at, and but we make it because of our strong strength. So Nakia, very happy in the position that you are in the federal government, and we look forward to your special delivery of information today. So thank you. Next, we have Dr. Harish Reddy. Dr. Harish, you joined us in the correct time. I want to let you know, Dr. Harish is also Dr. Harish and I went to medical school together. Okay. And so he and I probably have spoken very few words, but it's okay because now it's the era of virtuality. So we'll probably make up for all the 5 years of our medical school missed in chatting with each other, which we're going to do today. So Dr. Harish, you look great as usual, and probably from our entire batchmate, he's the first one who has received the COVID-19 vaccine. So definitely very interested to understand how you are, and what are the some of the advice or suggestions you have for others. And finally, the best is always saved for the last. We have Smita Daya. Smita, you had worked in the legal field for almost 20-25 years, and then you've also been in the real estate paralegal business as well. You've lived in Zambia, South Africa, and then you moved to England, to Marietta, Georgia. And Smita, when we spoke a little bit earlier, you said your whole life perspective changed when you turned 50. And you said, I'm just sending a resignation letter. And I think people reach that stage as, you know what, I'm done. I want to move my life into a different perspective where I can impact my passion and compassion into my life. And you became an Ayurvedic chef. And I've seen your gallery. I've seen I mean, I've not really come and tasted your food, but oh my gosh, they look very, very good. And Smita, this time when I went to Bangalore, I stayed in a Ayurvedic center for 3 days. The food was awesome. The food was great, and I'm like, why can't every time all of us be fed the same food? The healthy food, tasty food, the rejuvenation of energy, just everything that Ayurveda had to offer was something that I have a great testimonial towards too. So, Smita, thank you for joining us. You're also the owner of Ole Olivia, which is more into Ayurvedic food, making of the food, and increasing awareness about Ayurveda. So, some of the questions today with the allopathic and Ayurvedic practitioners are going to be: are you going to integrate, right? So that's for later. But the first few questions that I'm going to ask all of you is I want to ask a generic question, and then we're going to go deep into our discussion for today. So, Dr. Harish, my first question is for you. The question I have for you is I'm sure you already do have $1 million, but if you won $1 million, what would you do with it? And if you can unmute yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Nazeera, for providing an opportunity to join this elite panel. So I consider myself to be lucky. Thank you for providing me this opportunity. So coming back to the question of whether if I win a lottery of 1 million, whatever dollars or pounds, so I think it would be hypocritical for me to say that I'll donate everything for charity. No, I wouldn't. So I would keep some for myself, and then I would donate at least a significant chunk of my whatever luck to somebody who really needs it more as well. So at least half of it, I'll keep it myself, and the rest half, I might put it to good use. So maybe my relatives, or maybe some of the people who are less privileged. So I would use it that way. So otherwise, I mean, if I say that everything will be put into charity, no, that will be a lie, isn't it?
Yes. So do you have, so I know you said someone who needs it. Can you think of any of the top two or three, one or two things that you can think of that you've already supported in the past?
Say, for example, so there are many people. I come from a background, although I was born and brought up in Bangalore. I don't know how many people know about Bangalore. So it's one of the metropolitan cities in India. So there, life was good for me, but my roots are from a village. So where I see people who are struggling to meet two ends meet themselves, and they are struggling to get two square meals a day as well. So those are the people who I would support. And then whenever I go there, I would make sure that I provide some sort of education to one of the family who works in our fields. So that I've been doing for quite a long time. And then there's one of the charity organization in Andhra Pradesh, which we donate regularly. These are for the people who can't afford basic education, and they are orphans. Most of them are orphans, and so we donate to that cause as well. So along with this was introduced by one of my friend, who said that there's a lady who does quite a lot of good service, and it's a not NGO. It's basically an NGO, non-political organization, so
Okay.
which we have subscribed to, and we've been doing that for quite a long time.
Okay, very nice. And we all see some balloons hanging in the background. Was it your daughter's birthday recently? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. So this was my daughter's birthday, and yeah, recently I didn't feel like taking it off till at least for the uh, Christmas time. So I thought I'll just let it go flow along with the Christmas festivities.
Definitely, Dr. Harish. Thank you for joining us and very well said. Dr. Nandini, the next question is for you. What is your greatest fear and how do you manage fear?
My greatest fear is fear of disease. That's my greatest fear. Fear of disease. That I think everybody else is going through the same thing right now. So basically, this pandemic has. I mean, even though if you have $1 million, even though if you're living in poverty, everybody is facing the same fear right now. So, but like, I mean, I think we are in a shift right now. Like, we are hit with a storm, but like some people are facing this storm in a different way. Everybody is facing this storm in a different way. Some people are in a yacht, and some people are in a small ship, and some people are in a boat, and everybody can sink. So no one is immune right now. So I think our biggest fear right now is fear of disease. And
That's great. Uh-huh.
yeah.
My next part of the question was how would you manage fear, which we're going to talk about in detail later.
Yeah. Managing fear is everybody manages fear in a different way. Like, I mean, basically, like some people, I mean, we just have to make ourselves immune. Like, we just have to make ourselves strong. So there are a lot of techniques for making ourselves strong. And, like, I mean, basically, it depends on what the fear is as well.
Okay,
So,
very nice. Thank you. Nakia, if you can unmute yourself, the next question is for you. If you could improve the world by doing one thing, what would it be?
Uh, thank you for me here today. So, if it was one thing that I could improve in the world, I guess I would say people. I guess I would try to find a cure for breast cancer. My grandmother, she was diagnosed with it in 2009, and she lost her life in 2010. So I think that if one thing that I could improve, it would be to put more money and more research in that effort to help out with the scientists or who are trying to come up with a cure for breast cancer.
Very nice. Thank you, Nakia, for your wonderful insight. Thank you. Dr. Harish, Tumar, the next question is for you. So, what was your first win that made you confident that you were doing the right thing? It could be in your personal life, it could be in your professional life.
First success, I would say, is seeing a smile on patient's face who came to us with a lot of suffering. That's what I believe the first success, other than any award. Though I won many gold medals and other awards, but the most important award or success I would say in my professional career is patient's face and we see him or her smiling. That's the most important thing.
Very nice. Thank you. And I keep reading your
Yeah.
posts, which sort of relates to what you exactly said. So you're very customer patient oriented. You make sure that your patients are happy and are satisfied with your treatment. So very well, very a very important characteristic for a doctor, Dr. Tumar. So Smita, the next question is for you. What is one thing that your culture has taught you that you've never questioned it?
Discipline. I would definitely say discipline. My mother taught us discipline at a very young age. Went to boarding school. There was so much discipline there. And then moved here. But all along the way, I think our culture, and I come from Zambia, so I had the Zambian culture, but I also had the Indian culture, and living in two different, cultures, and how to make sure that you're satisfying both ends. That was discipline in itself, but that discipline has to be, yeah, the priority in our Indian culture. I think everybody's taught at a very young age to do so many things, to be responsible in so many different ways.
Sharmila, the next question is for you. So, who is someone you admire or respect and why?
Thank you. I'm very much privileged for being here and back to the question. And so the person I got very much admired is my father. Okay, because he was the one who told me his life success journey or inspiration journey and what are the struggles he had undergone in his life. So I had heard the story for more than 100 times from his mouth, and still those inspirations are moving me ahead. And the biggest learnings I got from him is being generous and being honest. So that was the thing I admired the most, and the perseverance. So these three things are the things I most admired in my father, and just I am carrying his legacy
Very
all the time.
nice. Very nice. Thank you. Yabo, the final question is for you. If you were to write a book about yourself, what would you name it?
Crossing bridges.
Yay!
Tell us a little bit more.
My whole life, I have never felt a sense of belonging. My mother was white American, my father was Nigerian. So, and I was born and raised in Nigeria, in Lagos, and I didn't feel that I fit in. Then I came to America at 16. In my head, I was an international student, and I found out I was considered black. Whereas in Nigeria, people will look at you and know you're not one of us. You're an outsider and you have to prove that you speak the language or whatever, right? So then I became black, which was fine. African Americans have been gloriously wonderful as an adopted family. And then my parents were atheists, and I came out the womb screaming Jesus. So even religiously, I was a hybrid. So racially, I was a hybrid. Religiously, I was a hybrid. Culturally, I've been a hybrid, and always trying to find that sense of belonging. So finally, I accepted that my role in life is to help people connect, different types of people connect and understand each other. And my life is about building bridges.
Very nice, very well said. And you've related your personal life to what you do even now. So that's amazing. And I think once we found that out, just like how Smita has done recently, it only adds more, a flavor to our life. So let me go to our first question to Sharmila. Sharmila, let's talk about leadership, right? And as I told you, I've been talking about leadership this whole month. Somehow it ended up. But let's talk about leadership and women, right? This is something growing up in India, we were never really taught. We didn't know there were leadership skills. We didn't go for leadership classes. It's just some things we developed. And sometimes the person who comes up in the front, we think they are the leaders, right? So we never considered ourselves anywhere to be educated about leadership. But tell me, how did you establish a path for yourself today, Sharmila, to educate others? Because what you're doing is programming and teaching others to become leaders. So, can you talk about that briefly?
Yes, yes, Nazeera. So I started my leadership courses. The inspiration behind was I found one time the struggle in my life. Like it was like a big struggle, like many other have. It was how to lead others. That is, it was. So many situations you came across. You well know about the Indian family and the joint family system. And when every time you feel like you are always here about that is always listen others, and you couldn't express yourself many times. So that was the first barrier I came across, and I had always a passion to um, make others leaders as once I have the transformation. So the transformation caused once I learned the course of NLP, that is neuro linguistic programming courses. I have attended that really transformed me as a leader. So the leader in the sense, it's not about leading others. The first one is leading yourself. So the most emphasis in my leadership program is about leading yourself first. So once you know how to lead your thoughts, your behavior, and the language and the words you use and everything, then definitely we can lead others too. So leadership through inspiration and leadership through compassion is the main ingredient of the course I'm doing, and I'm seeing even in India. Many women we are taking like they are like homemakers, and they are not. So I believe that every homemaker is having the potential of leadership skills because they are doing everything and everything in home, right? From finance, they are doing the production, the management skills, and everything they are doing. So they have the potential of leadership skills, and still now many young women leaders are growing up in India, and I think it's also a part of my life mission to boost many women leaders from every part of the world. So I believe many rural women leaders are booming up in India. So they have the greatest compassion and just they put humanity as the investment. So really, I am admiring such kind of women, and those kind of women should come front and rule and make a part of national building.
Very nice,
So
Sharmila. I think you brought a couple of words. A homemaker. I think many of us, I also refer to them as domestic engineers, right? So,
yeah, yeah, true.
just the various sectors that they have to work upon even within the house. But let's talk about the young entrepreneurs or young leaders that you just mentioned. How is that? How should we develop that within our children to be leaders, or do we lead by example? And so, how can we get them more involved, predominantly in a much younger age, to be leaders? And again, leaders doesn't mean they have a huge following, but basically taking the right decisions at the right time.
Yeah. So the very important thing we in India, I don't know about what the parents of other countries, but mainly in India, we are not giving enough space to the children to think of their own. That is very important because everything they are getting very much pampered. They are getting guidance all the time. They are always told how to do, how to say, how to react, and everything they were told by the parents. That is good in some extent. That is a molding up their behavior and molding up their values, that is fine. But to all the extent, to the overall goodness of any child, we have to give some space to think of their own and do of their own and let them do the mistakes. So once the parents were very much aware of this, and also the another gap I am seeing is how to, especially the teenagers, they are in very much high distress because the parents are pushing their own life dream to their children to make it, because they are not believing like the teenagers or the young children are having another dream. Okay, so to grow a teenager into, that is to inculcate the leadership skills in a teenager, it's very much essential to give space and let them do mistakes, and the very most important thing is carrying the family values and the societal values with them. These three things will definitely mold any teenager. Having a good human is first before becoming a good leader. So if a teenager is becoming a very good human, definitely he has the highest potential and capacity to become a future leader. So that is what I'm coaching the team. There is a program called Teen Masters, and I'm coaching them on this side.
Very nice, and
Yes.
we wish you all the best in continuous coaching. At a later point, I will come to your healthy couple coaching, and I would love to know what's going on over there. Yeah. So, Yabo, the next question is for you, and I think you already mentioned in your earlier answer about the cultural identity and how it. So, tell us specific examples of how you felt these cultural identities for you was an obstacle to develop further in your career? I have a series of questions, so let me ask you that, but you'll sort of understand where I'm coming from. How have you overcome such obstacles? Have you? And I know you are helping others participate in diversity training. How is that going, and what are the takeaway lessons from those training programs? And do you think diversity training should be mandatory or voluntary?
Thank you, Nazeera. Um, Identity has been the bone in my life, the issue, the rub, right? When I was growing up, a lot of my father met my mother. My father was one of the first Nigerians to get a PhD. And back then, women were not, this was in the late 40s. Back then, women were not getting PhDs, and he was here in America. And so he wanted someone that was his intellectual peer. Married my mother, took her to Nigeria. And a lot of times, some of those marriages didn't work out because once the male was in his birth environment, things changed, right? But my parents had a very strong love. When my father died, they had been married 50 years. So my mother played a huge role in my life. My father played a huge role in my life. It wasn't one or the other. I find a lot of mixed race children from Nigeria tend to go more to their mother's side, right? And then maybe there was divorce and they moved back to England or America or wherever with their mother. But for me, I have a very strong Yoruba identity. But I also have very much of my mother's identity, right? So I never, it wasn't easy to make a choice. I feel like I'm both and. Then in doing the work, when I started to understand that in America everything is racial, black or white, black or white. Then folks get left out of the conversation, don't we? You folks, it's like, well, okay, they don't have issue, push them on the other side. Maybe they fall under brown. Maybe they're just people of color. But this thing of it's either black or it's white, I started to see that we were raised with culture, not race. And in America, they'll say, oh, they don't have a culture, but the culture is racialized, right? Where you have to see everything in these binaries. And so once I started understanding what was going on, and I wanted people to look at things more through a cultural lens, that's when all that work took off. So I help people look at race culturally and how your race has defined you. If we were having a conversation on race and culture with Desi folks, I would bring up the caste system in India, right? That is part of this story. And thank God for Isabel Wilkerson and her new book on caste, where she's looking at American racial dynamics through a lens of caste from and mentions the Indian system, mentions World War II and Germany and how Jews were a lower caste, right? And this thing of not allowing people to be the fullness of who they are because you've put a label on it. That's where my passion is. One, it's not compassion. Two, you are not allowed, it's like a flower not being allowed to bloom because it's red and not white, right? We don't have that control. We're not supposed to. The flower itself has that essence to bloom. And that's where all of that identity piece comes in for me. Who are you is not just who you determine yourself to be. Who your culture says you are is part of your identity. Who your nationality is part of your identity. God forbid any of you Desi folks living in America lose your Desiness. I don't want you to be so assimilated that your Ayurveda is obsolete, or the natural medical systems that we come from is obsolete, or like how African Americans have a history with the earth and roots and using traditional medicines. That is all part of our identity. And we cannot keep ignoring it to conform to one main way of being in the world. No, where there's no diversity, the people die. Diversity is what gives us an immune mentality to grow and be better.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Yabo, well said. And that's a great segue to my next question with Smita. Smita, so let's talk about 2020. And I think some of the discussions we are discussing today can be related to this year, right? Of course, diversity and inclusion has been a major part of, has received a lot of attention, especially in the social movements that have been created. How do you see the cuisine? So because it's art, I can't do what you do, right? It's an art. So how do you see that art as a platform to address these topics and encourage action?
You know, it is so important now, right? We're in the COVID era right now, and you know, food is not talked about. So immunity, boosting our immunity, it's one of the priorities that we have to have. How do you do that with art? Ayurvedically, I have cooked over 2020 meals to close out the year 2020. And they're all Ayurvedically cooked and fed to all the healthcare workers, the frontline workers, the CCYA children. I just did the widows this morning. So, you know, just cooking Ayurvedically and making sure that we are using the right healing spices that go into the food that would help you with any inflammation that you have in the body, or to fight any viruses that we might get. One of the classes that we also teach, it's about, you know, how to protect yourself from COVID, and making sure that you're eating the right foods with, you know, the application of the 6 Ayurvedic tastes. So how do we do that? It's very important. You know, food, I think what we put in our mind, in our mouth, has a connection with our mind and body. And every 80% of what we put in our mouth has that connection. You know, everybody talks about mind-body connection. They talk about fighting immunity. If we're not having the healing spices, turmeric is powerful, ginger is powerful, cinnamon, fennel seeds, fenugreek, those kind of seeds. To add to your diet, how can they help you build your immune system? Also, using the right type of fats, very important. What kind of fats are we using at this time? Are we just using butter all the time, or lard all the time, or are we switching to the unsaturated fats? So very important. And also remember, we eat with our eyes. So the plate has to look pleasing. Ayurveda food does not have to be boring. It can be very, very beautiful, and it can be very healing for your body. So that's what I've been doing all year.
And the question I have for you, because I've experienced the Ayurvedic rejuvenation center in Bengaluru. For me, it took this many years to experience what it is, to understand what it is. I went deep into understanding and learning further. How do you think that the culture here or the communities here were not aware of Ayurveda, just like how yoga was, first challenged upon, and now being accepted to an extent? How do you think the communities, local communities, are accepting the cuisine, and also how does it help you with the social justice work as well?
Yeah, it's, people are getting to know in the United States. I've been doing my Ayurvedic classes for the last almost 4 years now. It's being received very well in the community. I think right now it's what you know, but when you teach people and let them open their minds a little bit and think outside of the box, I get that aha moment a lot. Wow, Smita, I didn't know that this is how it works. But doing those classes, and I've broken them down into, like 12 sessions. So you do the intro to Ayurveda, and then it gets down to the seven dhatus and how the six tastes do affect our body tissues. So once we get it deeper into the classes, you do get that moment where people will be like, wow, we only know what we know, but now we have this new platform to work from, to better help ourselves with our health and heal our bodies naturally, because a lot of people are eating just what they know how to cook and not what they really need to be eating. So it's just a quick pickup. In the United States, everything is a fast food. Let's go pick up something at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, wherever. So it's learning how to get back to the basics is very important. I think this whole year has taught a lot of people to get back down to the basics. Everybody's at home, confined. Everybody is with their families. It's a great time to cook with the families and learn to cook from basics. This also comes from one of your first questions you asked me about, the tradition, and I answered discipline. I think it's getting back to the basics, because we learned how to cook from basics, do a lot of things from ground up. So this has been a great year to do that. And I find that a lot of my clients, a lot of my customers are now doing that. And I've had a great, great response from the community and a lot of support saying, Smita, we need to do more of this.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Haresh Tumar from Gujarat, the next question is for you. If you can unmute yourself and let me know if you can hear me. So, they say that married men live longer than single men, but single women live longer than married women. So, so this is something we have to think about. So I know you didn't do research on this one, but something that I've read is over and over, which is relevant as well, because women really take care of their spouses in getting to the doctors, make them eat healthy, etc. But my question to you, Dr. Haresh, is not. I'm not going to ask you if this statement is true, but my question is, how does luck find someone?
You mean to say single woman lives longer than married woman?
Yes, but
Is that right?
yeah. So yes, that was a
This is,
research question. We'll discuss that in detail later. But tell me, I read a post that you recently posted. You posted a few points on how to get lucky. So how does luck find someone?
I think there are many things. Where do you find luck? How do you find luck? The most important thing is to work for others selflessly. Work hard. There is no substitute, and just you cannot sit without doing effort, and someday luck will come to you, and you will get what you want. So most important thing I would say is hard work, your dedicated efforts, commitments, work for others. That will work for you definitely in a long run. So these are few things which are, like I like to say, more important rather than just one day luck will come to you, finding you, and you will be getting what you want actually. That's what I think I would like to say in summary.
You also mentioned stay teachable. What does that mean?
Teacher, pardon?
Stay teachable. You wrote in your post.
Yeah, so yeah, correct. Teachable. Yeah, this is very important point, right? Whatever we have learned in our lifetime by education, information, knowledge, or experience, that we should try to teach other people, so other people can be benefited with your knowledge and experience. That's what I think it means.
Okay. And you, what about surround yourself with good people? Can you speak about that?
Yeah, that's very, that's what you are doing actually.
Yes.
See,
Yes,
so
I.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I should congratulate you. You are trying. You are trying hard to find people who have positive thoughts, positive vibes, and like-minded people, and that's what you are getting benefit out of it. So I don't need to explain in detail these things.
Okay. So tell me a testimonial about a patient that has come and appreciated you and why. Any of the patient that you
Your
treated.
sound is not clear. It's interrupted, I think.
Okay. So can you tell me a situation where your patient has really appreciated you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there are many instances. Yeah, there are many instances like where you are not sure, other than patient is sure himself. I remember one gentleman who had both kidneys failed, right? And he went to many big hospitals in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, kidney hospital, Nadia, and few other places. So he was told that your both kidneys are failed. There is no other option, and you need dialysis lifelong or transplant. But when I was working in a stone belt area, many patients who had kidneys failed and they come in time and they recovered well with treatment, like whatever I do with my knowledge and experience. But God does all those things. So someone told me go to Dr. Harish Tumar. He will be doing definitely good something good for you. So he came to me. He had only one kidney. One kidney was removed because of kidney stones. So I examined him. I checked all reports, and I told him, like all other doctor told, that like your kidney is not working. He had kidney full of stones and pus. So even if you remove stone, probably you need dialysis lifelong or you need kidney transplant. But he had full faith in me. So he went back to home again, came back with his like relatives, and he just fell in my leg and said, whatever you do, you either you kill me or you treat me, I am not going to go anyway, and I have full faith in you, and you just treat me whatever outcome may be. Then I treated his kidney. I did stone surgery. I did puncture, PCNL, 9 punctures, and cleared the stone completely. And by God's grace, his kidney recovered normal, and even after 10 years, his kidney is functioning well. So what I mean to say, I had not enough faith in my treatment, but patient had full faith. So if patient had full faith and confidence in treating doctor, it works like magic. That's what I have experienced in many patients, and those patient gives you blessings. It's like you cannot count it in money or price or any dollars. That's what I have experienced many times.
Very well said, Dr. Tomar. And it goes back to what Iabo said, building bridges, because we both are building bridges, or it goes both ways. So we congratulate you continuously and wishing you the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next question, Dr.
Thank
Harish
you.
Reddy from UK is Dr. Harish, which identity makes you feel great about yourself? I have a series of other questions. I'm not done yet. So, which identity makes you feel great about yourself? Was there a time when you felt you were being discriminated or you were being judged? And did you feel uncomfortable about it? And there are also these toxic misconceptions, especially in 2020, that we've seen that you have to be supportive of one, right? You can, so sort of, if you're not supportive of that, you're anti-social or anti something. So is that true?
Uh, so coming to the question about being judged or being. So what was the first question? Did
Yes.
you say
So the first question is, what identity makes you feel great?
a good human being and a compassionate human being was the one what I feel most people recognize. They may forget you as a doctor, they may forget you with what profession you are with, but if you are a good individual and if you've done something good to a person and which is something which they can't forget in the whole of their life. I mean, the same goes with me as well. If somebody has helped me in the time when I needed it the most, or when you don't have anything, that's the time when you remember those people for the rest of your life. So being a good person is the good identity what you can have. So I would
Then,
say that be a
okay.
good person. Try to do good to everyone.
Okay. The next question is, did you ever feel judged or discriminated against, and how did you feel about it?
So I think as a human being, everybody have that innate quality of being judging other people and discriminating other people as well, isn't it? But to what extent you go to that, and then whether you suppress it and then not show it to other people and not judge other people and take everybody on board, that makes you a better person, isn't it? So every one of us will have that innate thing in us where you tend to judge someone or discriminate somebody by their whatever it may be. I mean, the Indian society as such, or Indian society also discriminates a lot of people as well. I'm sure we know that, and the same goes with any other country. It might be in a subtle form, but how much you show it and how much action you put in showing those things makes you a better person, isn't it? I mean, so you shouldn't be showing it on other people. Try to suppress it and treat everybody as equal, irrespective of their caste, color, creed, or their profession or their status in the society. That makes you a better individual.
Very well said, Harish. So let's talk about COVID-19, right? So, and the vaccine, of course, now. Should we still be living in fear, right? How does the COVID-19 trajectory looks like to you now that the vaccine is out?
Okay, now if I put you in context, say if we are cut off from all the social media and news channels and everything, how scared you will be about this COVID compared to whatever social media professors and social media universities got about all these COVID myths and realities. So I think half of it is political as well. And some of it, yeah, basically any disease for that matter. One of the panelists earlier said that health is wealth, which I completely agree with that. So I think to have a good health is the most prerequisite for any individual. If you want to trade health with wealth, I would always go for health. So you can make wealth anyway, or even if you don't have wealth, that's fine, but health is quite important. Based on that, every one of us will have apprehensions of our own health. So, yes, health is important, but you have to balance it off. So, if you have some disease or if you are undergoing any illness, it depends on your outlook, how you take it as well. So, obviously, every body reacts in a different way to different diseases. Not everybody will so for example, if 100 people get COVID, not for everybody it will be devastating, isn't it? So some of them recover well, some of them don't recover well. It depends on their individual immunity as well. On top of that, I think the mental well-being also plays a role as well. So the positive outlook to life will also determine whether you're cured early or not. And the main thing is the vaccination. Yes, it nobody knows whether it will be effective or not, but there have been good studies going on to show that that's the only way where we can get rid of this infection or get over this infection. So if you see in the past, most of the many a couple of infectious diseases like smallpox, chickenpox, and polio have been eradicated. I mean, I wouldn't say chickenpox is eradicated, but it's kept under control. But smallpox and polio have been eradicated purely because of vaccinations. So I would say whether this works or not, we don't know. But at least that's the way forward. It's the safest thing to do. It's worth giving a try. Otherwise, there is no treatment available for COVID, but the only thing available is vaccination. Not to say that I'm not promoting the vaccination, but that's what, as a microbiologist, I feel that we need to give the best shot possible, according to whatever the scientific fraternity has given us.
So has it been a week already? You have the vaccine, and how do you feel?
Yeah, it's just like any other vaccine. Normally, I have a flu vaccination every year without fail. So I'll give a small example. In 2010, when there was this swine flu outbreak throughout the world, it was quite devastating. My daughter came back from school, and she was unwell, and she was tested positive for flu A. And subsequently, the next week, my wife went down, same symptoms. So she was tested and found to be the same strain of flu A. I was not affected. A month later, my daughter came back from school. She was very ill and she was tested for flu B. A week later, my wife went down and she was tested for flu B as well. Both times, I was not affected because I was vaccinated. And when we tested it and when we look back, both the strains were part of the vaccine. So that's how I was protected. So if it works, it definitely works. The worst thing it can happen is it might not work, but it is quite safe to take it. So having said that, it's been a week since I've taken the COVID vaccine. I'm fine. And yesterday, my wife took it as well. So she's fine as well, except for obviously with any jab, you'll have a slight sore on your arm. Other than that, you don't even have any symptoms of cold or cough or fever, nothing at all.
Okay. One more question for you before I move to Nakia and then Dr. Nandini. So please let us know, or the audience listening to you right now or globally, what and how can we support the healthcare workers now in this COVID era?
Support them mentally. We have to support the healthcare professionals. Everybody says that healthcare workers are frontline workers, but the kind of comments they pass on the healthcare professionals, they demoralizes them. Even if you don't do anything for them, don't criticize them. They are doing the best for you. None of the medical professionals will do any harm intentionally. If at all something happens, it might be inadvertently, it might just be because it might have the body might have reacted in a different way. None of the medical professionals will do any harm intentionally. Just support them. We can all fight together against COVID. It's all passage of time. Within 1 year, hopefully, in the next 6 months or so, we should all be back to normal. But what is normal? It might completely be a new thing from now on. So we can make it, but be sensible, stay safe.
Thank you so much for a great suggestion and your insight on the vaccine and other things that you talked about, Dr. Harish. We wish you all the best all the time. Nakia, the next question is for you. So let's talk about your experiences, right? What are some of the personal experiences or compelling arguments that has pushed you further as a female into the career field that you are? And how did you address those challenges?
Yeah, so thank you. So some of the things that I have done and the things that have actually helped me is because, as you mentioned, how we met is because I have a speech impediment, so that would have been like a driving force like all my life. As some people may see it as a disadvantage for me, but I have seen it as an advantage because I have normally used that as to push myself forward and to maybe sometimes even work a bit harder than most people. Like if I'm doing like a presentation or public speaking, I may have to go over it like 5 or 10 times just to make sure that I am I kind of understand the content and I'm able to convey my points in a concise and clear way. So I would say that is one thing that has definitely helped me. And I would say that honestly, I started to have that self reflection this year. Prior to this year, I kind of like had times when I really wish it was something that I wasn't given, but just from talking to a lot of people who also struggle with the small little challenge, I would say, just like learning and sharing stories, I learned that how much it has been like my strength all these years, and one thing and it's helped me in like work as well because I'm a very empathetic to others as well. So that kind of helps me. And most people, even at work, they come to me if they have like a problem or if they're dealing with something in life. And oftentimes people be like, "Oh, you're so brave for doing public speaking." Or I'm like, "Well, I can't change what I was given, but all I can do is try to work towards like advancing myself and pushing myself forward, despite the obstacle that I have."
Do you think you've achieved a work-life balance, or is that a myth?
So that's kind of hard. I think it can be a myth, but I think it is definitely important to try to work towards having a work-life balance because it's important to have it for your mindset. It's important to have that time where you are tuning off of work and even like spending time with family and friends. I love my job, but I think it's important to have like that time where I'm like running and taking care of myself and as far as like even making sure I eat healthy food and making sure I keep a routine. Sometimes it's harder than other days where I feel like I just want to work all day, but I still have to tell myself I have to have a period where I can cut off and think about me and do stuff for myself instead of like trying to work all night.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Nakia. You're so brave and just inspiring, to those who have doubts on themselves with all the abilities. So thank you, Nakia, and we continue to, wish you the braveness and the courageousness in the new year and the years to come. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Dr. Nandini, um, uh, physical health, mental health, social health, financial health, environmental health, right? And then you have the spiritual health and everything all. So health is not just merely an absence of disease. Yeah. And especially in this era, we have so much of the junk food, the empty calorie diet. And it's easy for me to say I was just munching on muruku, I think in our language, I don't know what it's called, it's sort of a mixture. It's a snack, it's a fried snack.
Right.
And it was so hard for me to put it off. So tell us, can we win the war against junk food?
Yes. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, Nazeera, as you know, I'm a family practice physician, and I recently am board certified in lifestyle medicine as well. So I'm going to just carry out what Smitha just said. I mean, she told in a very personalized way, in a very nice way, and so basically, our food is medicine. What we put in our body is the cause of many diseases, and and along with food, like there are other things too. Like, I mean, basically I see diabetes, I see high blood pressure, I see heart diseases, all kinds of variety of diseases, anxiety, depression. And over the time, like, we as MDs have been like so involved into managing diseases. Like, we've not been like nailing the root cause for all these.
Mhm.
If you look at the root cause for all these, like, it's nothing, it's not a magic science or anything. It's something which we already know, which has been taught by our grandparents. Like, I mean, eat well, eat healthy, eat your vegetables and fruits, get good night's sleep at least 7 to 9 hours, and all these kind of stuff. Like, I mean, play outside in the sunlight. I mean, all these kind of stuff. Like, I mean, mainly, like, we have forgotten those things, like, completely. We have forgotten those things. We have just put it, like, I mean, in a box now. So we just kind of like, even as practitioners, we need to be blaming ourselves, because we've got so good at managing diseases. Like, okay, diabetes, like, this is the latest medication in the market, let's do this. It's going to get your A1C down. But I mean, if you think back in our medical school, the first and the foremost thing, like what we need to treat is lifestyle changes. So mainly, I mean, that's the main thing. Like, I mean, that's what we need to do as a first line of treatment. But we have really forgotten that. So
Okay.
my food is medicine goes into that.
Okay, very, very well, sir. So let me do a follow-up question with you. You know, the South Asian American, especially, the population is increasing here, and our population is come. You know, we come with the cultural, traditional belief system. You know, sometimes we have that structural obstacles. And we are not compliant. You know, to some of the physicians' prescriptions or suggestions as well. How do you deal with such patients who are non-compliant?
Basically, I mean, I look at what are their barriers? What are the barriers of getting care? I mean, because as South Asians, like, I mean, we are not from this country, of course. Like, we're not born here, we're not raised here, so our cultural backgrounds are different. And in India, there is Ayurveda, there is homeopathic, and there are a lot of like things like which goes on. Like, I mean, it's not just straightforward. Treating an Indian patient is always hard. For me, it's more challenging to treat an Indian patient than compared to the others. To be honest, as an Indian physician, I would definitely admit it's hard, because for the Indian patients, it's more of fear which causes anxiety. So basically, I usually nail down the fear factor. Mainly, I tell them, like, see, what are your barriers? And I know the cultural background very well, so I kind of like try to deep dive into that and see like what their barriers are. And mainly, if I look at the barriers, mainly their thing is like they're scared of taking a medication. That's the main thing. So if I offer them lifestyle changes, like not like just saying that, but aggressive lifestyle changes, they need to do like physical activity, diet change, and sleep at least 7 to 9 hours, not watching their phones or iPads, which a lot of IT folks over here do that. Like, I mean, they are mainly suppressing the melatonin because of that. And social connectivity. Social connectivity is so important, Nazeera. I mean, we have been missing that into 2020, and that's the main cause for most of the anxiety, depression, what people are going through right now. And I mean, it's not just me saying that. There was a Harvard study which was done, like a huge study, which showed like, so people who are socially connected, they live longer and they live happier. So, and staying away from substances, I mean, which like a lot of people are aware of those things, but we just have to like reinforce them. And once they do the lifestyle changes, when once we talk to them about their barriers and how they can overcome their barriers and try to do the lifestyle changes, and I just don't tell them, okay, just do the exercise, just go to the gym. I try to incorporate into their lifestyle. So what I mean, I always tell physical activity is something which you have to enjoy doing. It's not just okay, just go to the gym for 30 minutes. That's not going to work for most of the patients. It's not going to work for me. I cannot expect my patients to go to the gym every day for 30 minutes and every day for 45 minutes. It's not going to work. You have to just ask them what they enjoy doing. Some people enjoy doing playing tennis. Some people enjoy playing with their family. I mean, any kind of moderate physical activity is fine, like 150 minutes. That's what we recommend. So whatever they enjoy, and if they enjoy doing the physical activity, that's more sustainable.
Sure. So let me ask you this question. I've been reading about it, especially during the COVID era, Dr. Nandini, that the domestic abuse situations for women has increased or really increased, dramatically increased, and or drastically increased. And the next thing that we are also hearing is there are a lot of separations among families. Because of the COVID era. So, do you think it's because of lack of the social inactivity that's causing these? And how can they be more patient and not let the COVID impact these situations in their families?
Basically, yeah, you're right, Nazeera. I think the main cause for this is social connectivity. We are human beings, like we are social beings. Like, I mean, social connectivity is very important. And now what people are doing is most of the time they are connecting through social media, and there are tons of studies done. Like so far, social media has increased is one of the main cause for depression. because depression and anxiety and like, I mean, I think for going forward we should have like competitions where, okay, how much time you're not going to have screen time. The people
Definitely.
who have the least amount of screen time, they are the ones who are much more happier because they're not connecting to people. So
Yes.
right now we're connecting to social media, and that's one of the main cause for this. And always like real life is completely different from real life. What you call like
You should include in your couple's health program. Yeah. So thank you, Dr.
yeah,
Nandini. Sharmila, the
yeah.
next question is for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So they say
Yes.
only a woman can fix another woman's crown when it is crooked without letting the world know that it was crooked. So, how do you think we as women can change society directions to be more loving and caring?
How do you think? Can you repeat it again?
How can we as a woman or women change the societal direction to be more loving and caring?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, yes, actually, the reality is among many women leaders and the people working as a team. In the past decades, until the last past decade, it was told like women have many conflicts. They are jealous of each other. They won't care for each other. So some of the interpretations the society was having, and I strongly believe this generation, that is the upcoming generation and the generation now we are having, is very good in associating with each other, the women, or very good in having that is working as a team. They are doing really, really good. That is the thing I am admiring the current generation. And as you said, can women fix each crown? Yes, that is very much possible only if um, they support each other. That is very important, even in hierarchical context in some corporates. So fixing each other woman is just that is I'm telling about the previous generation, that is those who are in 40s or 50s now. Still, it's becoming a conflict, and but I'm seeing a lot of different youngsters now. And coming to the last question, like what you have asked.
How can
Um,
they be more loving and
sorry,
caring?
Yes. So loving and caring for each other, that is, I believe every woman is have the loving trait, that is caring trait in themselves. So, especially in human resources management, the opportunities are vastly waiting for the women only because they are very much empathetic, because they are very much compassion with each other. So such kind of jobs are always available and professions like coaching, training, and teaching, and something caring for the society and health aspects, then health professionals. These are all the professions always waiting for the candidates to come in for caring. That is because they are meant for caring, right? And so these kind of professions can develop the women leaders of the future nation. That is one I strongly believe in. These kind of leaders have to be enhanced only by the schools and colleges and institutions they are growing up, because the many families are not supporting. Even the uh, current generation, I'm seeing many youngsters, the women teenagers or the women students are having high passion and dream with themselves to take care of the society, to do something great for the society. They have higher dreams. They are having a high purpose when they are studying. But the family system and the cultural system are still stopping the women to get emerge into future leaders. And so it will take at least some 5 to 10 years for every woman to come across family. There is what we call as the glass ceiling. We always used to see it. So the glass ceiling was at least for 10 years to take care of the husband, children, and satisfy the family and make the family or joint family to understand what this has been. So these are the main challenges I'm doing. But what am I saying to the current women is please never ever give up your dreams. It's nothing shame or wrong in waiting. Okay, because I have waited for some years for my dreams to start even. So not to achieve, to start. So we are always there with high dreams and everything. But if you want support and caring each other, definitely women leaders are very much important, and you need high much patience and confidence and determination. The determination part is very important. Determination also. So these three things will support any woman to care and supporting and the entire society to move forward because they
Sure.
are having the highest potential. Yeah.
Definitely. So, Sharmila, let me ask you this question before I go to Yabo and then Smita. Sharmila, so do these same principles apply for women if they want to take up an entrepreneurial journey? Is that how do we develop their talent to become business owners or become entrepreneurs?
Yes. In our society, that is in Indian society, the challenge is being a financial independent. So a woman surviving with the financial independence is a major challenge because they are mostly dependent on their husband or sons or any family member. But still now, we are seeing many women are having at least the graduation or post graduation. They are studying very well, and finally they got locked up in the family again. So I'm here. What I'm saying is to burst the barrier with compassion with the family. It's not like resisting the family values, resisting the elders in the family. It's actually it needs high emotional balance and emotional strength to a woman to overcome with compassion, first with the family, and then the world is waiting for her to achieve anything. So I'm not saying the fight with what the barriers she is facing in the society become an entrepreneur because it is another word of easy word of entrepreneur is making you yourself a self-employed. So you need not wait for the employment. You need not wait for someone to give you job. But entrepreneurship is a wonderful opportunity to connect what you want to serve to the society. Because, for example, if I want to serve so many people to get mental healthness, so that is the main motive of myself. I can connect. Okay, this is my mission for the society. Okay, this is my vision for the society. If I can do for myself and my family, only they got benefited. If I am an entrepreneur, so I could connect. I can form a team with for myself, and I can serve the society as a whole. And so if I can scale up my startup or if I can scale up my service, definitely I can do it wide. So
Very
every
nice.
yes, so that is what I'm emphasizing in women entrepreneurship.
Very nice. Thank you so much. And I hope those who do take your program are empowered to do so as well. Yabo, I have a series of compassionate questions. And probably if you can increase your volume, even though I could hear well, one of the audience mentioned that they were not able to fully hear you. But Yabo, how does one become a compassionate and a caring person, right? Number two, because I said this is a series of questions. Even sometimes I want to know: is it genetic? Is it hereditary? And is it advantages and disadvantages to be a compassionate and caring person? And does it come with age? Basically, does it come with maturity? And do you expect some people to be compassionate and caring towards you and not so others as much, right? So please explain.
Okay. Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me, so I'm speaking louder. So compassion is actually our default setting, right? They've done all these studies, scientific studies, that show when you reward one monkey for doing something, and you don't reward the other, the monkey that was rewarded will go and share his gift with the person who was deprived. So, not to say that we are monkeys, but we are social beings. When a baby is born, if you leave that baby alone, that baby will die. If a baby is not touched, there are doctors on this. If you don't hold your baby, the baby will die. We are genetically wired to interact and be social with one another. And when you're interacting, there has to be rules of engagement, right? Otherwise, we're stepping on each other's toes the whole time. So, number one, it is your default setting. When you are not feeling compassionate, it means you feel you're under threat. And too many of us live a life out of our amygdala, the little gland in the back of our brain that says, oh my God, there's danger, there's danger, there's danger. Like the doctor talked about social media and COVID and what's informing us, and the conspiracy theories and the this and the that and the politics. All that conversation is from back here. Our prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking brain, also does only deals with information. Compassion comes out of the heart brain, right? Our instinct to be with each other. To, like, I'm a single woman. Let's talk about COVID. I'm a single woman. I live alone. COVID has been brutal, right? But where did I start? I started with compassion for me. You have to love you. You have to love yourself. You have to have compassion for yourself. Like Ms. Gray talked about how a so-called speech impediment has actually have asset, right? That's compassion. That's having compassion for yourself, right? People may say whatever, somebody may be mocking, leadership may make you feel like somehow that's not good enough. Knowing to put that aside and say, but no, I'm precious. And not arrogance, not ego. No, no, no. But just, oh my gosh, I am a human being. I breathe. I have a life I'm responsible over. I want to emanate kindness and community and be around good people. That is self-compassion. So understanding it's your default setting, noting when you're not in a compassionate flow, that where you don't have empathy for someone else, that's a signal that, wait a minute, I'm off. So I believe compassion is intentional. We are human beings. We toggle between, am I safe? I have knowledge. Who do I want to be in my heart? How do I want to be in relationship with other people? You have to keep keep picking the tool and value of compassion up. Leanne Rubenstein is my co-partner at Compassionate Atlanta. We both lead this organization. She was leading it for 5 years, and she said, I don't want to do this alone. I want to model shared power. Yeah, but you're always talking about sharing power. Let's do this together. And there are days, Leanne, I call Leanne and I say, Leanne, I want very compassionate today to such and such a person. And she says, I know. I wasn't compassionate yesterday. It's something you laugh at and you keep reaching for. Keep reaching for it. And we will call each other and say, what would be the compassionate thing to do in this circumstance? Right? When maybe we're working with a bunch of different people, how can we support that person to just keep spreading compassion? It is a lifestyle. We've talked about lifestyle. You keep choosing. It doesn't always feel good, but the more you do it, the stronger that muscle becomes. And compassion is the community value. It's one thing to be compassionate to myself, but when I reach out to you, compassion spreads. It's a ripple, right? Every year we have a tagline. This year it was the ripple. So even though we had to go online, we do so much physically, we had to go online at Compassionate Atlanta. It was fine. That compassion still conveys, right? And so the next year our tagline is we're incomplete without you. I am not complete without you. I need human beings in my life. COVID taught me that more than ever. Thank God I have friends that have pets and they brought their dogs over and I kept the dogs for a few days. Thank you so much. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, definitely. So yes, so we did get a puppy as well, Yabo. And so Yabo, you practiced, you were a practicing lawyer for almost 20 years.
Yes.
Did you see compassion missing there? Because you have to fight for the client, even if it is on the wrong side. Is that why you moved into interfaith work? And might be this is a question for most of the lawyers out there.
Well, it wasn't just because of that. You know, the economy changed, my business shifted. I was burnt out. I had what I call a glorious midlife crisis, where you have this existential moment of who am I and what am I doing and why am I doing this? You know, when I talked about crossing bridges, honestly speaking, my parents, very well educated, supported me. My whole family would value education. Most immigrants come to this country for education, like, oh my God, if I just become a doctor, if I just become a lawyer, then I'm set. I got there and it was empty. It was empty. Now, maybe that was just me, but I was missing from it. It was a job, it was a career, it wasn't a calling. And so after I went through my downtime and what in my faith is called the dark night of the soul, asking myself questions, reshaping my whole life, grieving losses, then I realized I want to do something different. So I went to seminary really to just get my head together to figure things out. I had no idea. I fell in love with it. As much as I love my parents, they were atheists. I never would have gone to seminary while they were alive. So when they died, I had permission to go and explore my faith side. You know, it wasn't private anymore. And so in seminary, I really felt that call to do social justice work with heart, but not religious labels. And
Okay.
that's why Compassionate Atlanta is such a good fit for me.
Definitely. And I'm so honored to be on your board in Compassionate Atlanta. And I keep meeting every month all these wonderful board members who bring their testimonials and life towards compassion. With that, my final question to you for this section is compassion considered weakness? Because I feel I hear these words sometimes like kindness is weakness sometimes. And I keep telling it's not. So I don't have enough support on that one.
So a lot of people think kindness is weakness, but it takes strength to be kind. You see, when you're operating from the amygdala and all you see is scarcity, then you don't want to be kind because you have to keep it for yourself. And that's a real place to be as a human being. I'm not knocking it. The problem, that's a survival mode. That's what keeps you alive, right? But the problem is we live in survival mode. We're stuck there. And we don't even give ourselves the eyes to see, wait a minute, I'm really not in survival mode. I'm actually thriving. Now, to me, survival mode is 1 + 1 = 2. Compassion mode, thriving mode is 10 times 10 = 100. So you have to see the abundance that's there. You have to realize there is no scarcity. Think about bookstores. I used to love Barnes and Noble. Oh my gosh, I get my paycheck, I go to Barnes and Noble, I'm looking at books, I'm a bookworm. I love all the books. Now they're almost obsolete. Why? Because we now have a trillionaire leading Amazon and nobody could have thought about it. I was like, what is Amazon? Just think back to when you first heard Amazon, right? Look at how everything changed. We have the world's first trillionaire because honestly, he has this abundance thinking of what more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? Now, I'm trying to divest from Amazon, I promise you. COVID made it hard because I love getting my packages, right? I don't want to make a trillionaire even richer. But that is the synergy and multiplication that happens with compassion. Because if think back to the monkeys, if I watch you die because I don't share my banana with you, that means I'm seeing my own death coming. That is why it takes strength to say, I must invest in your well-being because your well-being is my well-being.
Very well said. Very well said. And very great segue because I feel like most of the end part that you described was about Smita. She got up at 3 a.m. this morning, cooked Ayurvedic healthy food, and donated to the seniors and others as she's been doing this entire month. So Smita, kudos to you. We appreciate you. I don't know if people are appreciating you all the time, but take it from our team today that we really appreciate what you do, apart from educating and healthy, but also you're compassionate in giving and sharing. My question is, we have almost 3 doctors here, practicing doctors. Is there a scope for Ayurveda in the contemporary period?
I think so. I think there's a space for that. I think if people understood, Ayurveda teaches, it's a 5,000-year-old science. Basically, it's spiritual science is a science of individual, but getting back to the basics. And like what Nandini said, Dr. Nandini said, lifestyle, it's very important. What we're eating, I think with the doctors getting hung up on just treating the symptoms, I think Ayurveda brings it to getting back to the basics and getting down to the root cause of what's happening in our bodies as far as diseases. So it's very important. Yes, I think there's a space. Absolutely.
Okay, I just want all the 3 doctors to either say this, yes, no, or maybe. So have you integrated or engaged Ayurvedic medicine or practices in your practice all these years? Harish, or maybe? Okay, no? Oh my gosh, no. What about you, Dr. Kumar? Have you engaged Ayurvedic practice in your medicine practice, in your Western medicine practice? Unmute, please.
No, I don't practice Ayurvedic medicines, but I strongly believe it's a science. And as and when indicated, it works.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
where I used to practice in rural Tamil Nadu, we used to have an Ayurvedic center next door. So when we treated patients with infertility and many other chronic diseases, we would ask them to get that portion or the lehium from next door. So we integrated that into our practice, and it was not a threat. So something for the physicians who are listening to us today, for our physicians who are here today, please explore. I mean, that's one of the best things that has happened, at least when I used to practice. People felt that we were not just giving them the chemical medicine. We, in fact, treated them the holistic medicine as well, alternative medicine as well. So please consider, Dr. Harish. I don't know how the situation is in UK about alternative medicine, but I know it's growing. Definitely look at Ayurveda, Siddha, and some of the practices, especially for COVID-19, to increase and boost immunity.
Yeah, it depends on the availability as well, isn't it? I mean, how much information is available as well. That also plays a role, and then it depends on people's experience as well. So based on that, I mean, if it's not doing any harm, see, that's what people do, isn't it? I mean, let's try alternative medicine if nothing is working. So I mean, personally, I don't have much experience in that. So I mean, if I have more experiences, I'm more than happy to inculcate the practice as well.
Very good. Very good. Instead of considering it as an alternative, I would consider it as an integrated medicine along with your.
Here, to add on to that, in United States, we practice evidence-based medicine, and with the malpractice laws, with lot of you know how bad it is
Sure.
with insurances. We have to deal with that in and out. Like, it becomes a challenge. Even if you
Yes.
believe it, even if you don't believe it, it's up to you. But it just becomes a challenge. Like, I mean,
Definitely. And I've been
yeah,
talking to a lot of other physicians, primary care physicians, who are starting to integrate. So that's what so I would
right,
urge you all to explore it further. If there are certification organizations that teach or increase awareness on Ayurveda, and maybe Smita can speak about it, even within US. And primary care physicians are getting certified. Smita, I mean, Dr. Nandini, look into this. They're getting certified as integrated medicine specialists, where they're
right.
able to integrate.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, that's why I'm not opposed to it, but like that's the reason why I did lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle is medicine is like mainly like when it's evidence based, it's easier for us. I mean,
Yes,
but when it's not evidence based, it becomes like a gray area. If it works, yeah, your patient will be very happy. You will be very happy. But if it doesn't work, then you are in.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah, definitely something to explore continuously.
yeah.
Yes, there's always room for improvement. Smita, now let's go back to you. Tell us, how does a quick, healthy fix in Ayurvedic food looks like? Maybe you're giving a tip for all of us
Yeah,
today.
so we're in the winter months right now, and we're in our third, I guess, COVID rush right now. So I would say cooking warm, moist, cooked foods. Remember, it's about assimilating, metabolizing, and absorbing your food, so that the nutrients and the vitamins can be absorbed in your system appropriately. And so, warm, cooked, moist foods. Not having iced water, that would be great. Adding a little bit of turmeric every day in your diet. A lot of the US diet does not include turmeric. So I would say adding that in with the ginger, adding a little bit of black pepper to help the curcumin to be absorbed in your system a little bit faster. But those, yeah, warm, cooked, moist foods is very important. Raw foods are very hard to digest. So just making sure that that's taken care of. And warm water, obviously.
Tell us the reason behind. I've been hearing this a lot as well. Drinking warm water when you wake up.
Drinking warm water. So cold water restricts, and warm water opens up your channels. And so you can flush out the toxins or anything that's in your body, and it just helps you to open up all of your channels.
Very nice. So, thank you for these tips, and definitely, we need more evidence-based research studies. As I'm seeing a few coming out, Smita, like Dr.
There's
Nandini
a
said,
whole
we have
lot of
to.
evidence-based studies on whole food plant-based diet. Like, I mean, that's what I've been giving it to all my patients. And if you look at it, like there is a big, huge, and if you want to Google search, there are a few doctors who are doing a lot of research on this whole food plant-based diet. It's a non-profit organization. One of my friend from Tampa, he's a cardiologist. He does it. He and his wife formed this pblm.org. So that's about plant-based nutrition and like how we can prevent cardiovascular diseases through the plant-based nutrition. And only like with whole food plant-based diet that you can reduce your LDL cholesterol to less than 70. So whole food plant-based diet and Mediterranean diet, these are the ones which we definitely recommend to the patients. So
Very nice. And I think a personalized goal as well for individuals. Like personally for
yeah.
me, I used to like mutton biryani, but my goal that you've taken and why for the reason. So probably in 2022, it's all goes well. I'm seeing myself as a plant-based vegetarian or a vegan. For someone who
Mhm.
used to love biryanis, I've, that's just my goal. And I'm not asking everybody to do that. But I'm saying, the prescriptions and the subscriptions from doctors are good, the advices. But I think a person should be strong-willed to know what they're doing and why.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Harish? He's like, I'm never giving up.
So I mean, on the lighter side, you're doing more harm to the environment. You're cutting down all the greens, and then you're reducing the carbon dioxide. Just on the funnier side of it. No, I'm just joking.
So
No, it's good. It's good.
that's my batchmate as you can have it.
No,
She's
it's a good
not
thing.
killing the animals, so she's protecting the animals, so which is good.
No, which is good. I was
Yeah.
joking. So it's better to be vegan. It has its advantages and disadvantages as well. In India, you get a balance of, let's say, if you're a vegetarian, you get good vegetables and then green vegetables in plenty. But in the Western world, especially in a temperate region, so it's quite hard to get good enough vegetables to sustain your immune system. That's my take on it. So at least meat and chicken might. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you should, but that might be a better supplement for whatever is not available in the temperate
But
countries.
if you are eating the meat, switch the timing, right? So instead of eating the heavier foods at night, you would want to eat the heavier foods at lunchtime because that's when your digestive fire is the strongest.
Definitely.
Possibly, yeah.
Yes. And personally, because I'm facing through it, I can see that it is not, it's not appear like when someone else is eating, I don't crave for it anymore. You know, the smell of it, nothing is craving because my mind has agreed that that was something that we gave up. So it's hard, but I think it can be done. It's
Yeah,
just my advice.
Absolutely.
when I was in first year med school, I gave up meat.
You did?
So
Okay. Good. Yeah, and I'm heading there. Nandini, I'm going to catch up with you soon then.
yeah, it's been it's been maybe like 20 years or 25 years. On my first day of, I think first year med school, like after doing the anatomy and physiology, I decided that I'm not going to eat meat ever.
Okay, wow. Yes, it's a conviction. So with that question, I want to go to Nakia. And after Nakia, we're going to do the closing comments from all of us. So Nakia, let's talk about inner peace, right? How much does your passion, is as a conviction gives you inner peace of mind?
Can you say that again?
Sure. So let's talk about inner peace. How important is it for a person to have inner peace, and what are the things that they can do to attain inner peace?
Yeah, so I would say that it's very important for people to have for peace. It's important uh, to have like to think about yourself and to have peace and like spirit. Those are some important things that I constantly think about on a daily because if you don't have peace, then you might not have joy as well. So it's important to have peace in pretty much everything that you pretty much do because I think if you have peace, then you can not only help yourself, but then you can help other people as well.
What is the single most important thing that people can do to help the world crisis? And it doesn't have to be just COVID. It can be any crisis that you think is a crisis in the world. What is the single most thing that people can do?
Okay, so I think one of the single things that somebody can do at this point, and I will just take it from like COVID and with like the speed of adoption of technology and people adopting with kids they have to do a lot with like online learning. So one thing that they can do is to get educated on what things that they should do to keep their kids safe, like attending events like this where they actually learn about how they can be safe online, and then also learn about on how they can eat more healthy during this time. And I guess back to like online safety, they can do certain things like adopting policies and to like understand those policies, those online policies, and making sure that they adhere to those. They can check their, make sure that they have the necessary based on their laptop and computers. They are going to also monitor their use of the internet and not click on or any bad anything. Because as you see in the media now, it's a lot of healthcare and even like schools that have been attacked by ransomware, and it's a big thing now, and it's important to even not to pay that because if you pay the ransom, most likely that bad actor will keep asking for that more money. So that was one thing that I would say that someone can do now, given in this current pandemic.
Okay,
situation.
awesome. Thank you so much, Nakia. Point well taken. I had a question for Dr. Harish Reddy, but I think he's off camera. So, Smitha, let me. Oh, he is here. He isn't. But I'm going to ask you that question still, Smitha. Is tell us one or two foods that we should not buy. Maybe I'll take this as my challenge.
Anything that is processed or canned. Um, Processed and canned goods are adulterated, chemically adulterated, so they will affect your body more than anything. So anything that's processed, processed sugar is one of them that I would say absolutely take that out of your diet. Canned goods, there's no prana, so there's no life force in those. You need foods that give you the life force to go into your body. Frozen foods are stale also. So, limiting to those. Obviously, we're in the Western world and we don't have that abundance of markets and farmers markets and farms nearby if we're living in the cities. So limiting also the frozen foods is very important. Yeah.
Very nice. So, Dr. Harish, a series of COVID questions just because I think people want to know, and if you can answer it quickly like that. How long does protection take to kick in once they've had a COVID vaccine?
So they say that the Pfizer vaccine, they've done a study on 4,000 people. They say that after the first dose, 50% of your immune system will be stimulated after 2 weeks, and once you get the second dose after 3 weeks, so 1 week after the second dose, they say that 90% of them will be protected. So basically, so a week after the second dose, which yeah.
Okay. If someone had COVID-19, should they still get vaccinated?
Yes and no. So we don't know that question. So because there's a still biggest trial going on in UK, which is the Siren study, which is looking at the immunity or the antibodies over a long period of time. Because this is just all started off, say, less than a year back. So the studies and the research is still in the early stage. So as of now, it's been recommended for everybody, irrespective of whether they had COVID or not.
Will a vaccine end COVID-19?
So that's again, we don't know. So as of now, what they have said is, so once you have both the doses of vaccination, so the antibodies will sustain for a minimum of 6 months. Not to say that longer than that, because the study itself is started only 6 months back. So as of now, till date, so everybody are protected. I mean, 90% of them are protected. So it might be more as well. So we don't know whether we need to have a booster dose or anything. Time will only tell.
How are these vaccines made?
So this is a mRNA vaccination. So basically, what they do is there are different methods of preparing the vaccination. So the Pfizer vaccine, what they have done is they have taken off a bit of the genetic code, and then they have used it as a transport vehicle, and then they incorporate it into the cell, and then that cell will in turn present it to the lymphocytes, which in turn will produce antibodies, and then some of them will remain as memory cells, and on subsequent exposure to that virus, it starts producing antibodies. So that's the theory behind the vaccine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was really helpful that you answered some of these questions that has been in mind for many of the people. Dr. Harish Kumar, are you on screen? We're not able to see you. But my question to you was, what's the best diet for weight loss, and do you exercise?
I think best diet for weight loss. I think I am not a ideal person to ask because we have expert diet expert in our panel group. However, lifestyle disease expert Dr. Nandini and our diet expert already explained that anything processed food is not good for health, and it will not help to reduce weight, right?
Yes.
So that's yeah.
So, do you exercise, or what do you have to say for people who make excuses to not exercise?
I would like to say whatever you can sustain for long term and whatever you enjoy for doing your physical workout, that should be done rather than going to gym every day because most of the people, I would say 70 to 80% people, they go to gym for 3 months, 5 months, then they stop doing it. Rather than that, whatever you can do at home, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, you can do at home. You can maybe walk, you can do some jogging, some Surya Namaskar, and some kind of meditation. That would be more than sufficient for long term sustainment. That's what I do practice, and I advise most of the people who ask me to do.
Very well taken. I think sustainability, not just get into the moment of I need to reduce 2 pounds or 3 pounds. I think it should be more a sustainable and an enjoyable methodology that they
Right.
engage
Absolutely.
in. So thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. I would like to go ahead and start with Sharmila for closing comments for today. And what are your thoughts for 2021? This is a question for each and all of you. I would like to go ahead and start with Sharmila for closing comments for today. And what are your thoughts for 2021? This is a question for each and all of you. Go ahead, Sharmila. Think she is. Sharmila, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, Nazeera?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So actually, the whole discussion was very much helpful even for me to hear such valuable inputs from the health experts as well as from Ayurvedic and as a compassionate and so many things. I had got the inputs from different people. And to Dr. Nazeera for the wonderful opportunity to get exposed with such kind of experts and got my knowledge accordingly. And also, I'm very much happy and glad to share my own views with this wonderful panel. So it's very much nice to see you all people from different parts of the world, and I'm wishing you all the best on your journey to create a big change in the society as well as world. And I'm glad to become a part of it. Thank you so much, Nazeera, on that.
Thank you, Sharmila. How do you see 2021?
2021, I'm saying this as a biggest hope because I'm seeing many entrepreneurs here, as well as some of the teaching people. Everybody are in high distress. Yes, so I'm saying 2021 as the biggest hope to solve everything and get all the vaccination to every part of the world and every people, and that will be a healthy ahead, I think.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know it's 11:30 or almost for you in the night, and we really appreciate you staying up to participate in this discussion. Smita, closing comments, please.
Yeah, so how do I see 2021? I see us continuing to lean on our company's values to strengthen and be part of our community, to make the community stronger. Continue to teach my classes the way we teach classes, take it online, and just be there for the people that need us.
Very nice. And thank you, Smita. We wish you all the best as well. In your continuous dedication to assist the community and sharing the wealth and the knowledge that you carry. Dr. Nandini, closing comments, please.
2021, I definitely want to, this has been my passion, and just to share with you guys, I lost my best friend to breast cancer 2 days ago. So my passion for 2021 would be I really want to spread awareness for getting mammograms and early screening, and it was a real bad year for me. 2020, I lost my dad and I lost my best friend, and it's been a bad year pretty much, along with the COVID what was going on. So and she was just 39. So somebody had mentioned they lost their grandmother for breast cancer. So I really want to invest on spreading awareness of mammograms and getting their mammograms and doing early diagnosis and all those kind of things. That's really my passion. And that's
Yeah, so sorry to hear about your best friend's loss, Dr. Nandini. However, I think you must have very much related to when Nakia in the beginning talked about her passion
yeah, I
that we
did.
should try
I
and
did.
cure for breast cancer. And again, I do want to urge and encourage each one of you to be connected with each other. You have all your emails, we've shared it. So wherever you see the similarities or a common ground, please stay connected because Harish is in UK and Dr. Harish is in Gujarat and Sharmila is in Tamil Nadu, India, and we all are in Georgia and Atlanta and New York. So please stay connected, however it is. Iabo, closing comments, please.
2021, I've been thinking about it as it's December. I want to shift into really writing a curriculum about how we use compassion to bridge these divides that we often have and bring it, deepening my practices around compassion, focusing on health, focusing on creating community. I live in Clarkston, considered the most diverse 1 square mile in the world.
Thank you so much. I think you gave a very great, closing comments as we all end this session. What we all talked about with Smita saying, go back to the basics. So yes, nature is our basics. So definitely, and spending more time with the family and several lessons, good lessons learned as well during this era, which we can take to 2021. Again, I appreciate each one of your time. To those who are listening to us, we host our monthly Chai and Just Chat session every month. This is our 4th year, and we have to thank our sponsor, Vendorship Inc., for making this happen. At Vendorship Inc., we make government contracting easy. So, with that said, I think the discussion today was about compassion. Introspect yourself, spend time with family, and stay healthy, be healthy, go back to the basics, and definitely get the vaccine when it's available to you. So, thank you again. And we wish you the merriest and the happiest of the holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy. Health is wealth, right? So, and we wish you a wonderful, happy new year and season's greetings. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.